Um, so I am going to talk about witchcraft, guys. I've suffered witchcraft, from from very young age. Very young age. I've had a dark spirit following me for the longest time. And without knowing, at most of the time I was not even aware of those things were following me. Only now when we getting older that my sister, and at home, my mom, you know, speaks about these things, that these things been happening since we're young. Um, so for somebody who does not understand or hear, or I don't know, who people, there's certain people that there are people who saying that we who believe that witchcraft is a myth. Witchcraft, it's a coincidence. you know um Guys, witchcraft is it's real. Buloi is real thing that it's happening. you know um I'll just talk about witchcraft from where I come from, right? My village, where I come from. So my village, let me just describe my village. My village, it's in the Northern Cape, right? The Northern Cape, and it's so sad, right, that my village right now, when I compare to other villages, right? My village, it's I don't want to get emotional. I don't want to get emotional. I don't want to cry. You know, but let me just, I'll just go back to growing up, right? To actually understand when we hear that actually witchcraft is a thing, witchcraft is happening, right? So growing up, I grew up with my grandmother, right? I grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother used to pray. My grandmother was a prayer warrior. My grandmother will pray and the situation will change. I remember there was one night that there was a storm. So a house that we growing up with, we grew up on, right? So it was a mud house, right? A mud house, a house that is made until this day that people will still live in those homes, right? A house that was built into in a with a I mean built with a soil mixed with a cow dough, right? I hope I said that right, guys. I'm from rural areas. I'm from rural areas. English was not a thing from there, right? And yeah, man, it's cow dough, soil, and rocks. There's a type of house that grew up in. I remember there was one night that there was a storm. There was a storm, literally dark storm, and then there was a rain, and as it was raining, literally there was the roof. You could literally see that the roof is about to the roof is about to go, right, just being blown off, right. And my grandmother, on that night we prayed. She just said, come all together, and we prayed, and we literally we just there. My grandmother was just praying, and she was just praying, and she was just praying. And after she said amen, for some certain reason, I was in primary school, middle school, I don't remember. For some reason, the storm will just come down, right? Few second, the rain is gone, right? Um, so I'll just go back to witchcraft. First time I knew personally about, we hear about witchcraft, right? There was, so in primary school there was used to be this girl, right? There used to be this girl. She used to go dira dilo tse what they call go phatloga, right? To say something she was not supposed to say, right? You say something, then suddenly you realize that you said something that you're not supposed to say, right? So this girl, she used to say, "Apatloga," right? Say that, I no, they go to people's homes. They go to people's homes, but my home, right? My home, they cannot enter. If they try to force to enter, they get burned, right? She used to say those things, but we were young, man. We were young. We just thought like, ah, we do not take it seriously. And we grew, right? From middle school, we went to from middle school we went to I went to Rustenburg. I went to Rustenburg for high school, right? Probably that was the last time I left the village, right? That was the last time I left the village. I've never been there. I probably went there once in a Good Friday because of I know there's a soccer that is happening there. You know, the last time I went was this year, Good Friday. That was just when I see what God is trying to do with my life, my purpose on this earth. I, that was the first time we hear about witchcraft, right? But we used to hear stories of witchcraft, right, in the village, but you just never take those things seriously. Like, no, man, it's just a myth, right? Um, and then I went to Rustenburg, right? I went to Rustenburg. That was the first time I see witchcraft happening to me, right? um I started falling, right? Suddenly I'm falling, I fall, faint basically. I remember there was one day that I fell. As I fell, and there was just I remember that day there was no electricity. There was a prime stove just here, and there was my mom was cooking. There was I just fell. I fainted and I just fell next to a prime stove, right? And a prime stove, people doesn't know a prime stove. Prime stove is a stove that I don't know, the stove with paraffin basically. Yeah, I fell just next to it. Just literally just next to it. Had I just been inch, you know, I own my life to God. Vana, I own my life to God. Then my mom took me to a GP, a doctor, right? And as she took me to a doctor, GP, and I got there. He's doing the test, right? He's doing the test. He's doing the test, and he asked me to smoke. I was not smoking. I was in high school that time. I was not smoking. The first time I drink alcohol and when I was smoke, I was much older. Right? Primary school, middle school, high school. I've never smoked. I never drink alcohol. Um, then he did the test. Right? Do you smoke? Do you drink? HIV test, all the tests. He basically ran all the tests. Right? No, sure, sharp. They're clean, right? He gave me pills. He said it's stress. It's a stress. Okay, give me pills. I took those pills, right? But still, I faint. Still, right? And my mom then took me to traditional healer, right? My mom took me to traditional healer for the first time. For the first time, I go to a traditional healer. You know, and then I was taken a thing out of my stomach, and it was meat. It was human flesh, dead human flesh, basically. Namayamoto, you know. Um, and it was taken out of me, right? And then I was okay, right? Then I was okay, no sharp, right? Then second time what it happened, taking things out of my stomach, which is I realized that baloyi, which is it's they use same thing, just sichiso, right? um Again, I was go jesiwa gape, I was taken again. I started falling again. I started falling. Then my mom took me to a sangoma again, traditional healer, and this thing was removed again from my stomach. Okay, passed me, finished matric, then go now being an adult. Now I'm independent. Now I'm working. I, and it happened again. Sijiso, right? This time it is done by a friend. It's done by a friend who, till this day, it's just shocking that that was when I got to know that young people are in witchcraft as well. Witchcraft is not done by elderly women. We're thinking like how we always thought that witchcraft is done by elderly women or elderly men. Even kids, when I kids, and that's the most saddest, that's the most sad thing to get to know actually that witchcraft, even or elderly people teaches witchcraft to kids. And for me, that's the thing of saying that, nah, my boy, no, it's not gonna happen. We're gonna get exposed. We're gonna have to expose witchcraft. If For me, if you're doing it as an elderly person, sharp, do that, right? But if you take into those dark things and you introduce it to kids, that's my problem, right? That's where I have a problem. So this guy, how did he even jessa me, right? Put the poison in food, and I'll tell you what the poison was it for, right? So we were working with this guy. We were friends. I didn't know him. We were friends. We were friends. We were friends. And one thing that drawn me to him was the love for clothes. I've always loved clothes. I love fashion. He loved clothes as well. So that's the only thing that drawn us to each other, right? The friendship was formed based on I love clothes. He loves clothes. That's the only thing that brought us together, right? So what we will used to do, we will eat in the in, so we will go to work, right? Skaftina, right? Skaftina food, right? For the day, right? So at breakfast we'll eat my skaftina, right? At lunch we eat his, right? And we used to eat together, right? We used to eat together. Um, and guys, this is the thing. We are young. We were like 20, 21. It was after matric, right? And this guy, that day, and that's the thing about witchcraft, that witches, that the moment when they do things to you, they'll give you signs. That's a fact. They will give signs. They will give signs. But we ignore when God talks to us. We ignore those moments, man. Those little voice that at that time they're speaking to us. Be aware. We ignore those. You know. Um. So this guy, he then, on that day we ate, right, breakfast we ate together. During lunch he rushed to the food and he ate quick. And as he saw me approaching, he said, no man, just eat, then I will I'm going somewhere, right? Quick, he was gone, right? Oh, sharp. That little voice there, it was there, but I I did not actually pay attention to it, right? Sharp. Um, I ate, right? I ate from there. This guy is withdrawing, right? I see him. It's no longer as together, right? There's a sudden shift, you know. We no longer close, and there's no reason, right? There's no reason. We didn't fight, right? Probably it was guilty, right? It was guilt, right? And I remember the day, not the day, man, just week before it happened, there was this lady who came to me and said, like, stop being friends with this guy. Stop being friends with this guy. And we're thinking, you young fana, you think you're cool, you're thinking, oh, no, man, this is my friend. You'll never do that, you know. Um, Kante, you know, and that's a thing that also ignoring when people are talking to us. You know, I think God speaks to us. God speaks to us in a people use God use people to speak to us. You know, and we ignore those things, man. We took those things for granted. You know, so reason why for that thing was supposed to what was not the thingy, the poison that was put in my food, sijeso, what it was it for, right? There's a different sijeso, there's a different type of sijeso, but this particular one was for hate, right? To people to hate you, right? And it worked, my boy. It worked for the longest time. It worked, and I remember I used to talk to my friend or my friend to say like, dude, people hate me, man. For I don't get it. Why people just hate me, right? So the poison, right? Sijiso, it's called sibaba, right? So when you are next to people, you become itchy. I wanna show, you know, we become itchy. You itch, right? The person next to you as well, they itch. People stay away from you, right? And I used to see this thing happening constantly where you become itchy, man. I become itchy when I'm around people. People also, I can see that people also, you know, they scratch themselves when they're around me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I see this thing. And I remember then I went to, for the first time now, going to Sangoma on my own, right? This guy took this thing out. It was literally just it was not human flesh. This time it was, how do I say it? Bojang, grass, right? Yeah. Literally it was just, you know, um, guys, witchcraft, it's alive. Witchcraft is a thing. I'm an empath, man. I cry easily. You know, I do. I wanted to make this video longer, but I'm getting emotional. When I get emotional, I cry. I cry. Now for now, I'm a crying baby. I am a crying baby for now. I'm a crying baby. So let me just stop. You know. But fact, man. I just want to leave this video. You know that people must be aware and find out of that witchcraft is there, right? But witches, no matter how they go to the most powerful sangoma, most powerful traditional healers, those things have no power over God. You know, prayer, they know that they don't have power. Those things, they have no power at all. That's why kids can be being bewitched from young age, and it never worked. It will only get to work when they are older. That's when we think that witchcraft is only thing of now. Actually, you've been protected your whole life. There's just now you are older. Now this thing, they work in your head, and they you start believing them, right? You know, believe it or not, they happen, but those things have no power over God. There's absolutely none of those things that a prayer cannot undo, and break. You know, so yeah, man, that's just my first time I came across witchcraft, and yeah, man, I'm getting emotional. I don't want to cry on this video, man. So yeah, man, guys, please subscribe, like, and I just want to share my story, man. I don't want to pray. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I but I just want to share my story, man, and just share the story of God, the power of God, man. Now, come from where a village where people have died. In fact, people die out of witchcraft. People die out of witchcraft. So yeah, man. Yeah, man. Guys, keep on watching. Keep on watching my channel. Subscribe, like. I just wanna. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. Literally, yes, I am spiritually inclined person. I'm spiritually gifted person, but I'm not a pastor. I don't preach. I just want to share my story of God. God now saved me from witchcraft over and over and over and over and over. And I for so long I've been living fear. And I forgot the power of God. I forgot um that I can literally. I'll make a video where I almost lost my mind, right, and how I actually healed myself. Yeah, man. So, guys, thank you for watching, man. Please, guys, subscribe, like, and comment. Yeah.